Carla, you are on, this is Carla on the couch.
On the couch.
We had other names, but this was the coolest one we came up with. So talk to me. You're on the couch.
Here we are.
Here we are. Welcome to the craziest season of your life, perhaps. Yeah. Let's talk about it. How has been the season? What's it like coaching in the PWHL?
Yeah, it's been great. It's been a whirlwind. A lot has sort of transpired here in the last handful of months and changes personally, obviously relocating from my hometown of Calgary into Ottawa and then settling into this new organization that everything about it is new. And that's been sort of the magic of it, but also the work behind it is just trying to get everyone settled. And, it's not just a team of 26 athletes and a handful of staff. It's a full staff and it's a full team. So it's been a whirlwind in a lot of ways, but what a thrill. We're dropping pucks now in front of 10,000 people. It's just the moment has been what we had all dreamt of. And we're now seeing it come to fruition, and we're seeing the communities get behind us. We're seeing fans get behind us. And, we're not just talking about, young sports teams. They're there, but sports fans are there. And the product that they're watching has been one that's been so engaging, and, the games are so close. Every team is so good. It's been a real treat to be a small part of all of it, but have a front row seat to all of it. So it's been an incredible few months here.
Do you feel like it's almost like playing that bronze medal game every single day?
Yeah, I said that earlier actually to our coaching staff here with Czech. I'm like, every game's a quarterfinal game. Like, you got to win that one. So certainly there's a heightened sort of, pressure or I guess privilege in that moment that every game does matter. But that's only making us all better. And so certainly to your point, like, you drop a puck in that league, you have no idea who's going to win it. There's a pretty good chance it's going to overtime. It's been something surreal and a lot of fun to be a part of.
So coming into, from the Czech national team where you play maybe a handful of games, now you're getting the reps on reps on reps. How have you developed as a coach?
Yeah, and I think developing as a coach, like, it's not lost to me that sort of every game I'm learning more, and we're trying to figure out lots of things. One is how to utilize our depth even further. Trying to find those right pockets in a game to make sure that everyone's getting their opportunity. I think at the end of the day, in a long season like we're going to face in the PWHL, playoffs are going to be a grind. So one, you got to get to playoffs. Two, then you got to learn how to play in playoffs. So just trying to learn to use our depth more. And I've been asking questions. Just had a conversation not long ago with Claude Julien, and just, how do you do it? How did you do it in the NHL? And just trying to pick the brains of people around us to make sure that as a coaching staff, we're always growing and learning too. So, there's lots to be learned by all of us. And I'm hopefully one of the first ones in line with my hand up saying, hey, can we have a conversation around this, and trying to make sure that we're doing right by our group. When
you're in a PWHL game, do you get inspired and you say, oh, I'm going to use that for the Czech team, or and then you're writing it down so you can, I can't forget. Are there elements there where you're like, I'm inspired by these games, I'm going to bring that to the Czech team? Yeah, and I think it goes both ways. I'm inspired by the Czech group too, and sort of try to bring pieces of that back to Ottawa now. But certainly, like, I think, to your point of getting the reps of games at this level constantly, you're starting to see the little nuances within the game at this level. And so you sort of look at it differently. And to your point, absolutely, there's going to be things that we, focus on in Ottawa that, when I watch us play here with Czech, that I'm like, maybe that'll help us. And certainly there'll be an overlap that way. So, I guess a little bit fortunate that there can be a 2-for-1 in some capacity, remembering that both groups have their own identity and there's uniqueness to both. But there's going to be an undercurrent for sure between the two. Speaking of 2-for-1, and this might be a super Ontario reference, so I don't know if you're going to get it. Did you ever have 2-for-1 pizza?
like from any one of those pizza shops? So
no, there was a 2-for-1 pizza shop. Okay, that was my. I was like, if you could get this really niche
my Alberta
joke.
Roots.
But that reminded me of pizza. So how much? So can you you call out pizza?
Yeah, I know.
All the time. Can you actually explain pizza?
Yeah, I think I owe it to the IIHF after the mic'd up that went.
That's okay. We're working on a pizza sponsorship.
Yeah,
we're working on a Skinny Pop sponsorship. So
I like it.
Maybe M&Ms are going to come out next.
See, that's what you do. Plant those seeds.
Exactly. But pizza. So describe pizza for us.
Yeah, it's an offensive zone. Most coaches would just call it the quiet space in the O zone. It's just sort of the top of the circle inside, just off the slot, really. But when I was working at Edge School in Calgary, so with high school age kids, one of the coaches there, Jeff Shantz, played in the NHL, great career. He was coaching a junior high team. And so he was talking about this quiet spot. But every time he would sort of circle it, color it in on the board, it colors in like a slice of pizza. So he started to call it the pizza. And I was like, well, that's a great reference. And I just chuckle now because we've got pro teams and national teams yelling pizza on the ice and talking about how open the pizza is. So again, I think when you're coaching and you're teaching, you're trying to make things relatable and a little bit unique to our group. And certainly the pizza one has connected, and I think it served us well.
Even as you're describing it, I can immediately imagine pizza, a slice of pizza.
That's right.
And that is like, it's very easy to think about. If you said donut, I would know what you mean.
That's right.
So food references in hockey. A while back, I think whether it was 22, I think it was in 22, we were talking about the importance of women coaching women or women working in women's hockey. You're working with a lot of women now. Talk about, I guess, the excitement to see so many more women in the game.
Yeah, and it's just continuing to push those doors. Like, we talked about before, so many women before me and us in our industry have helped pave this way for us to get these opportunities. I think the new Pro League is really highlighting now that you can make a career in this and you can be professional for the full year. And it's critically important. It's not lost on us. Obviously for the players to have this opportunity, for the women to be able to be pro hockey players is huge. But there's the secondary there that as coaches, as managers, as equipment managers, as media people, as business ops, the roles are now being established, and now it's giving the right opportunity to obviously the best candidate, but letting women know that we can be in this industry for a long, long time. You would not see a female around the pro game in hockey. And, and that's not great. And it's nice that it's starting to shift. It needs to shift more. It needs to shift in other leagues quicker. But we are getting there, and at least providing ourselves our own opportunities now in our own league. But, we talk about it, diversity makes a difference. And when you can get the right voices and different voices at a table, you can usually come up with a far better solution.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think if you look at a league like the PWHL, coming together in a matter of months, hiring coaches, hiring staff a week, maybe even a day before the draft, drafting your teams, getting them together and playing the first game at January 1st. That might be the testament to a diverse, not fully female, but a diverse leadership group.
Yeah, and I give the league a lot of credit because they've done a lot in a short amount of time, as you just alluded to, and I think they've been able to draw in incredible people that are not only passionate about our game, but really passionate about their role within the game, and exactly that. It's not that it's fully women. That's not what we're looking to do. We're looking to diversify the sport and make sure that the right voices are heard. So yeah, I think for what was tossed at the league to what we've been able to present to the public starting on January 1st is nothing short of impressive, and that's kudos to the leadership group within the league.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see the momentum continue to grow. Shifting gears a little bit, I'm interested to know kind of your perspective on. There's a lot of conversations around ADHD, neurodivergence, autism. A lot of adults and older people realizing that, hey, all of these weird things that I do are just kind of normal, and I can navigate them now. Have any of that popped up in your team, without having to name names, but do those conversations come up?
Well, I think it's the reality of our world, and all of that is part of everyone's world now. It doesn't matter where you work or you go to a classroom, what good classroom you're in. And, I think that the openness of it obviously still sort of relies upon the individual and their comfort level, but I think there's a much more broader openness to understanding that we're all unique and we all come with our own who we are. And, I think that's actually the beauty of the game and the beauty of a team is learning that. And, I've been fortunate to work with Superheroes, which is a part of Heroes Hockey, these little ones are hockey players. They have different challenges, of course, and cognitive development challenges. But you know what? We can all be hockey players. And I think that's the gift of the sport is, giving that opportunity. And especially when you're a Canadian, everyone knows what it's like to be a hockey player. We want that for everyone. So, I think to your point, the openness within the community is one that is warming, and I feel proud to be a part of the community because it's so open and, we're all navigating our different worlds, and as long as we can all call ourselves hockey players, we're going to be in an okay spot.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it's interesting to be able to have the language to be able to describe to someone, oh, I don't really learn in this way, or you talking to me, my brain is, I'm singing 10 songs in my head as you're talking to me, or I have to physically look at you and put my blinders on in order to listen, or, and I think it gives us an opportunity to learn and be better teachers and be better friends and teammates to each other. If you recognize those little nuances, especially as a coach, then maybe, you give a drill a certain way, you give an instruction a certain way, and it's more accepted.
Yeah, and I think you're always trying to get the best out of your athletes. Like that's our job. That's our primary goal always. And to your point, if it's whether you have to repeat something or show it differently or demo it, none of that's a problem. So certainly, you're just trying to give the information you can in the best way possible, so the bulk of the people can absorb it. And if you have to do a little bit extra afterwards, no problem. I drew a drill this morning, and it was a translation problem. But I drew a drill, and there are 8 girls behind me going, I was like, oh, that is on me. Because usually we might have one, if any, right? And I was like, oh, I did not do a very good job on that one. So time out, let's redo it here. So certainly, as a coach, you have to recognize that there's different ways to learning, and embracing as many as you can. It certainly helps your group.
So in the national team, Clara Pleslarova is back. Also on the Finnish team, 2 players, Michelle Karvinen and Susanna Tapani, are back. So these are all players who took a year off to go, either recover from injury, come back from something else. I think, maybe speak to that mental toughness or that ability for players to start saying, hey, I need a year off, or I need to go do something, or, I need a break. And it's happening in the NHL too, so.
Yeah, I think what we're opening up to is just remembering that people are human. And, we're so used to sort of a bit of a machine in this industry where you can just plug a player in and they just have to do what they're told and keep going and grind and grind and grind and grind. And there's always a grind component to being at the top of your sport. You don't get there without embracing the grind in some capacity. But having said that, when the challenges are met or circumstances force you to take a year, you know what? The fact that we're able to do that and come back and still be at the highest level is actually a really important piece. And, at the end of the day, you want to be able to enjoy this experience. And I think that's potentially what we're learning both as coaches and staffs and players is, you don't always have to do something. If it's not enjoyable, you can take a break. It doesn't mean you'll always come back, but maybe you want to come back. So, I hope it's giving athletes the confidence to do right by them and just realize, at the end of the day, this is still just your job. This isn't your life. This is your job. And remembering with your job, you can always take a break or find a new path if it's not the right one. So, for those 3 names that you mentioned, we're thrilled they're back in the game because they're some of the best players in the world, and they're gonna make the game that much better. But hopefully they're coming back at the right time for themselves. That injuries have healed and they're in the right spot for themselves to really go at it again.
Yeah, I think there's a cool power to being able to have that much confidence in yourself and say, I know what I need, I know what I want. And then taking that time to rediscover yourself and, rediscover who you are.
Yeah, you come in with a new energy then too, right? And you maybe go about it from a slightly different angle. And, it's some, they don't need that. Others who do, it's tremendous that they have that courage to do that, for sure.
So it's been a huge year. It's going to be an even bigger year, hopefully, for Czech women's hockey. Obviously going for the gold on your side. What's next?
Just continue to do what we're doing. I think we've never overtly been in a results-based team. It's a results-based industry, so it's always thrust upon you, and we know that. But internally, we've tried to always go about it sort of from a process perspective and trying to get better. And we've certainly made some gains here in the last 2 World Championships. But to your point, we're just sort of getting started, and there's work to be done to make sure that we can push for that gold. Like of course we want to, but knowing that there's still work to be done. So. For us, it's about maintaining the environment that we've got because it's a great one, and it's one that we all enjoy coming to and putting in the hard work then. But then how do we find that next step in our game? And we're never going to stop. I can assure you that we're feisty and we're hungry, but we know there's some work to be done.